Can you talk about getting the job on Barbarian and the Troll and working on that show?
So it was right before COVID happened. What was wild was I got invited. I remember I auditioned because a bunch of other of my lovely female puppeteers were texted me and were like, "You're gonna get this, right?" And I was confused because I think in the description it said a teenage girl that's been turned into an owl is kind of sassy with like a stand-up edge, like think Natasha Leggero. And so I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, clearly this was written for you," which was very lovely that they thought that. But we filmed it right before, and what was crazy was right as COVID was starting. So I remember filming the sizzle, the pilot, and we were like not shaking hands. We were doing like that weird, like we would kick each other's boots. We would say hello by kicking boots with each other. And then we filmed it. And I remember I watched and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I love this is like something I would want to watch as a kid. And then lockdown happened. So we're like, well, I don't know what's going to come out of that. And then miraculously, they were like, we're going to make the show, but they want to do it in Canada. And at the time, I was deep in lockdown. So I was like, I have nothing else going on. So yes, please. And so it was honestly such a wonderful experience because I think all of us puppeteers also just wanted to leave LA
Yeah.
because we were just stuck there. The crazy part was we had to quarantine per the government 2 weeks. My favorite part was at like 6 p.m. every day, we would all come out on our balconies and wave at each other because all of our hotel rooms were on the same side. And Drew Massey, who had gotten there like a week or so earlier, had already been out of quarantine. So sometimes he would drive down the alley where our windows faced, and he would wave from his car, and all of us would wave from the balcony. And then we got into production. And then production was interesting too. I had never done a puppet show where you're like filming on location and you're cold and in a park. But all those shots were so beautiful, I think, because if you watch the show, like it looks like they're in nature.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we became like really close. I feel like we were weirdly trauma bonded almost because we had to like spend Thanksgiving together. And like I know that like a lot of people like Alan was missing his family and like Peggy was missing her family and it was hard. So I think we all kind of clung to each other because we were each other's pod essentially. So when we weren't filming, we're on the weekend just hanging out.
To me, Barbarian and the Troll kind of sounds like this production. Because you work on productions like Let's Be Real, where it's like you get there, you're not 100% sure what you're going to do that day. They're just going to say, hey, you, grab these three puppets. You're going to stand over here. You're going to do that. But Barbarian and the Troll, I almost kind of look at it as like, oh, I wish I was part of it because it sounds like it was this great, small, connected group of people. But then you were all just doing different, like a million different characters because you had to build this world with a small group of puppeteers. And I know Nikki talked about a shot with I think the gnomes.
Yeah, the
where
market shot.
you had to keep running around and doing
I
different
wish
ones.
someone took behind the scenes
Yeah.
footage because it was like a relay race. Because if you watch the scene, me and Nikki are chickens in the beginning in a cart, and then the minute the camera, like we like threw the chickens on the ground, ran under the camera and picked up our next puppet, and then all of a sudden I'm like someone helping someone out at like a stand, and then the camera pans and I drop that puppet and we run out, and it was wild, but it was so fun because it was one of those things just like, we have to do this. There aren't enough of us. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. It's not like we can just be like, hey, Grant, can you come to
Right.
Canada and be in this large group scene? So we had to be really creative. And I feel like some of the shots, I know that it's like a bunch of us really struggling. There's one episode where they're like in a courtroom and there's a jury. And I need you to know that that's all of us double fisting puppets. And you know this as a puppeteer. Our left hand is not great at being, or like your non-dominant hand's not great at being a puppet. So it was funny because you'll see like everyone's like every other puppet's really great looking. And then the one next to them's kind of like wonky and doesn't know where to look. And that's because that's usually someone's left hand. And luckily those shots are pretty quick, but we had to get creative
Yeah.
because or we'd have to get our director Mike and be like, here, just stand in the background, hold this puppet.
Well, it sounds like it was just everybody who's told stories on here about it, it was a great experience. Like it was a really great
Yeah.
show to work on.
I wish we had a season 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
At Nickelodeon.